It's believed that he abandoned his vehicle and entered into the Robb Elementary School in Uvalde with a handgun, and he may have also had a rifle.
All right, a deadly mass shooting in Texas. We've been talking about this all morning long here, taking the lives of 19 students. And for a lot of people waking up this morning, it's hard to reconcile with how you can send your kid off to school on a day like today. I mean, let's be honest, not knowing if they're going to come back home. So joining us to talk about this, Jesus Villahermosa. He's an expert in the area of active shooters and crisis training. It is always good to have you here. Of course, not under these circumstances, but thanks for joining us this morning.
Well, thanks for having me. And first, I would like to express my condolences to the families and the victims, the community as a whole. This is just such a horrific event, and very sad. So hopefully we can discuss some things that might help other schools as well.
Yeah, I mean, let's do that, because I mean, you are an expert in the area of active shooters, crisis training. What's interesting, and we've heard some of these news headlines, is that the shooter was apparently confronted by 3 members of law enforcement who were armed, eventually taken down. I think it was by like a Border Patrol agent or something.
Right.
But the bottom line is he still made it inside where he opened fire. Right. So in that case, what is the solution here?
Well, first of all, the solution was when they engaged him, obviously, that would have been great to have stopped him at that point. What concerns me, and I don't know yet because, again, this hasn't been released, was this a single point of entry school? Numerous schools across the country, especially the K-5 arena, when we consult with our clients, we strongly recommend 2 specific things that in this case I think would have really mitigated a lot of what happened in the sense of the death or the injuries. It wouldn't have eliminated the threat, but and that is that a single point of entry school dictates that only one door is unlocked, and that's the front door, and that you must enter a vestibule in order to be buzzed into the school. But all perimeter doors must be locked. And so from what I'm understanding, he entered it through a south door after being confronted with law enforcement. And once being engaged by law enforcement, he retreated to that south door where somehow he gained access. Now, how he did that yet, we don't know. Most small communities really don't enforce single point of entry because the community wants access to the school. And that's one of the challenges, is we really have to, as parents, change our mentality that we should just have unfettered access to our children. Because the second part of that component then is we recommend that all schools, K through 12, that classroom doors be locked during instructional periods so that no one can access a classroom during those times. Specifically, and in this case, obviously, you have an active shooter. It would have delayed, slowed down. We don't know what would have changed as an outcome, but certainly having single point of entry and classroom doors locked during the day is something that we strongly recommend, specifically because in K-5, there's been reports, a study that was done by CNN, 20-year study that tells us, you have all active shooters in the last 20 years in K-5 arena have been adult males. They haven't been students within the school, which is totally different than 6 through 12. So again, we're looking for a different type of intruder, and we need to, schools in the K-5 arena really need to plan their plans around that data.
That's a lot. That just feels so overwhelming. I mean, for parents, for schools.
Sure.
I mean, you're talking about schools that just came out of a pandemic that were, having to, flip themselves upside down to, deal with homeschooling, and so many of these schools are underfunded at this point. I mean, what can schools do to keep students safe? Reasonable actions that probably could happen soon.
Actually, that is the most reasonable action right now. Even without funding, locking school door perimeters and locking school doors themselves, classroom doors, is not going to add to your budget. It's something schools can do right now that probably has the greatest mitigating factor for an attack like this. It's difficult because we know that there was leakage in this case. The shooter actually leaked to somebody. He actually texted or put this as Instagram, a woman he doesn't even know. Basically, from the text messages, you can tell that he's trying to fill her in. I've got a secret I want to tell you, but you've got to answer. Unfortunately, this woman did not know this guy, sending her pictures of weapons, and she's like, what in the heck? And she didn't respond to him. And then the morning of the shooting, he texted her one last time. And of course, at that point, after the massacre, she now realizes who this person was. So other than, pre-threat assessment information, we know that in the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas shooting in Parkland, we know that there were numerous pre-threats that were made, numerous leakages that were made, so bad actually that not even the FBI responded to them. to check them out. And then, of course, the massacre happened. And since then, the FBI has lost a $129 million lawsuit because they took no action on that. So I believe that the FBI is really trying to be more aggressive with this in the sense of they feel they have to respond to these regardless of the size of the threat, because the problem is we don't know if a threat is real, unfortunately, until it happens or someone threat assesses it. Threat assessment is critical in these situations, especially in this age group, because it is very likely, and they do this a lot, the shooters do this a lot, they actually leak this information to people around them. I mean, 25-year study by the Secret Service tells us that the 81% of the shooters told in 25 years told at least 3 people they were going to do the shooting, right? But no one came forward.
Yeah.
So we have a challenge here. We really do. And I believe we need to start educating the American public. I really do. And students as to this woman that received this Instagram message, right? If she had referred it to law enforcement, if they might have tracked it down, because that has happened in other states where shooters have been stopped exactly under these same circumstances. So by training the public, training the schools, the staff, and as you know, Liz, there's only so much you can do, right? Evil is evil. And this incident is a demonstration of evil at its worst, killing kids of this age, of any age. And law enforcement feeling helpless outside while they're trying to get in because he barricaded himself in the classroom. And at the same time, having to evacuate other students and trying to weigh that priority, right? Mm-hmm. I've got to get other kids out, but we can't get in. And so even for the law enforcement responding officers, the trauma here has got to be extremely high. But from a school perspective, school safety perspective, there's no school in the country that can guarantee the safety of any child in America. That's a myth. It just can't happen. We've had enough school shootings to demonstrate that. And in fact, Liz, last year we had 34 school shootings, according to Education Weekly, 34 in the whole year. And 24 of those occurred between August and December of last year, 24 of those 34. We are at 27 school shootings right now as of May. We are on track for over 50 plus school shootings this year. And so although they're unlikely to occur, that's not going to console a parent from yesterday's massacre because the volume, the death rate is so high. It's frustrating. It's really a frustrating issue.
Yeah. Jesus Villahermosa, thank you for joining us here. We know this is one facet of this conversation among many that are going on right now, and we appreciate you being our expert on this portion of that when we talk about active shooters and crisis training. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you. Take care.